This week on the Digital Marketing Scoop, we're talking with Thomas Marriot about search engine optimization and some common SEO misconceptions. Tom, very welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure.
You're very, very welcome. So tell us a bit about yourself and what you do.
Well, I'll tell you the day job. I have a day job and a night job. I'm very much like Batman. So my day job is I'm a digital marketing director at a digital agency over in Wigan. And, we are... I don't like calling it a bog standard digital agency because that makes us sound terrible. But what I mean by that is, we do website builds, we do e-com builds, we do the digital marketing for clients as well. We've been around for about 20 years. It's quite a long standing company. And I'm super proud of it. Me personally, I've been from agency to agency, in different digital marketing kinds of roles. And over the years, what I've noticed is, and I'm sure you're the same, you have conversations with clients, new clients come on board and they all have the same stories, which is they've been burnt by digital agencies before and they've had this done to them, or someone stole their website, or someone's still got their domain and won't release it, and all this kind of stuff. And I realized that, there is a seedy underworld of digital agencies out there. And I'm sure some of the stories are slightly fluffed up and, they go along that kind of route. But on the whole, there is a seedy underworld of digital agencies out there. So that brings me on to my night job, which is I am digital marketing punk. And the whole point of that is that being an active resistance against that kind of seedy underworld of digital agencies, where all I want to do is I want to see clients do well, whether they are, a small business to a medium business, as an agency, we work with the very, very small businesses we have some FTSE 100 clients, and, we work with that wide range. But for me personally, my passion is in that small side of the business, because I quite like getting involved from that side of things and watching that grow. I think it's the growing element that really excites me the most. And what I hate is hearing these stories of people being burnt and by digital agencies that have just done the wrong thing, that have just tried to take the money and done as little as possible. Because in this industry, we can baffle people with technical jargon and we can baffle people with sales bullcrap. And yeah, exactly. And I really, really hate it. It really boils my blood when I hear these stories. And so I thought, well, I'm just going to tell people how it is. It's not all hunky-dory. It's not all cream crisp and, metallic modern things, all that kind of stuff that I kind of visualize it in. It's very, very different than that. And you can be a little bit shit and it can be also fucking amazing. And I just wanted to be straight talking about that fact and really give, clients and customers and business owners and entrepreneurs and all those kind of people, the real look at it, and not this sort of fog that surrounds us where it's all this sort of technical bullshit and sales crap that people say. So that's where Digital Marketing Punk came from. And out of that, I developed a podcast and I have my blog and I go around speaking at events and stuff like that, just trying to generally annoy as many crappy digital agencies as there are.
Oh, fantastic.
I love
that's an amazing mission statement.
It's got me in trouble in the past and I'm sure it'll continue to get me in trouble, but fuck it.
For all the right reasons.
Yeah, exactly.
So I suppose what the SEO landscape, speaking of an area where there's a lot of bullshit, the SEO landscape has
absolutely. Yeah. It's the worst. Do you know what? It is the worst. SEO is the absolute worst, because the problem is the whole premise of SEO is this shrouded mystery of, it's like the Ark of the Covenant, okay, in Indiana Jones, where we don't see it till right to the very end. And the Ark of the Covenant in SEO world is the Google algorithm, and no one knows a fucking clue about what is going on with the Google algorithm. So that means that everyone around it, everyone in SEO world, can just make shit up, okay? Because there's no evidence, there's no actual concrete stuff to say, hey, this is actual fact. We do, there's studies and there's stuff that we know, there's stuff we pretty much know. This shit's been around for a long time now, but the fact is, Google doesn't come out and say, hey, we want you to do this. So people can just make shit up. And
And probably
sometimes,
that number one slot.
yeah, we will get you
Guaranteed.
guaranteed number one slot. I have so many stories. You know, the one thing that I used to work in an agency, and I won't name the agency because it is still going. But the one thing that absolutely drove me over the edge of actually starting Digital Marketing Punk was a scheme that was devised up by a digital agency that I worked for, where they basically said, what we're going to do is we're going to ask clients for about, I think, in my head, I think I've made it 10 grand, but that sounds crazy now. So I think it was like £1,000. Okay. So they said, we're going to do £1,000 guarantee. So the client's going to give us £1,000 and then we're going to guarantee them a number one spot. Okay. That was the idea. And we're going to guarantee them that number one spot within a year. It might have been 6 months, but it was definitely something like a year. And all they do is they take £1,000 from a client and then they would just find any fucking long tail key phrase that they could and say, hey, your number one spot for jellyfish in petroleum, you know, whatever. And your number one spot. So we're going to keep your £1,000 now and we're not going to give it back to you. And that was it. And that was when I went, fucking hell, there is some shit out there. So yeah. So anyway, the point was, you know, the SEO world is shrouded in this weird ass mystery, and it is the worst for these misconceptions that can happen.
Yeah, no, it is 100%. And I mean, you go way back, and it was all about people buying links and buying as much links as possible to the website, and then keyword stuffing and stuffing the keywords onto the page. Yeah. And you know what? Many years ago, that did work for a little bit.
Absolutely.
But I mean, if I go to my LinkedIn inbox, there are still every single day people guaranteeing me number one spots with doing.
Why aren't you taking them, Mark?
I know. I should outsource all my work to these people because these are fucking amazing. No, and it's true. And you know, the number of people that say I build links in this way, and I'm going, do you realize who you're talking to? When you send these spam messages to me on LinkedIn, do you actually look at my profile and go, hey, he might actually know what he's talking about? So I'm not going to say that I create all of these links from these farms, and there's thousands of them, and they'll get you number one spot. And you know, they're from Amazon, and they're from Facebook, and they're from Google themselves. Will link back to you. You fuck off. You know, just have a little bit of common sense when you're doing these things. But you know, all of that and all of the advice that goes around it, you know, it's not just the spam messages that get sent around. There's advice that gets sent around from agencies and experts and fucking gurus and shit like that say this thing and the other. And I'm not saying all of it, but some of it certainly. Actually, no, I'm going to take that back. A large proportion of it is absolute bullcrap. Because usually, and I wrote a blog post about this where I talked about SEO sound bites, okay? Soundbite SEO advice. And I think that's one of the most damaging things, that you can provide a lot of advice when it comes to SEO. You can say this, but usually it's in the form of a soundbite. So it's like, hey, get all your meta descriptions sorted and you'll rank number one. And I'm sitting back and going, well, I know that's fucking bullshit. Yeah, meta descriptions help. They help with click-through and they help with this and they help with that, but they don't fucking help you with number one rank. You need to provide some context to your advice. You need to not just say one sentence and expect, well, of course, it gets people excited. You know, I work with a lot of bloggers, and they'll say, you know, they pick up this kind of thing because they're not going to go to courses and they're not going to do this and do that in terms of trying to learn this stuff, which can be quite expensive. So they really grab onto this SEO advice, and they've all got their communities. They've all got their pods of communities. So this bullshit kind of just swirls around this ecosystem and community of people, where they go, well, Karen said that if I do my meta descriptions, then I'm going to be number one spot for, you know, this product, and it's just not going to happen.
And the thing about it as well is that it's so dangerous. Like I know of a legal firm, I won't mention who, but they a few years back they bought backlinks and ended up with a ton of backlinks from porn sites, and that is not ideal for your legal firm. And especially now, like all of those backlinks are just like null and void. Like, you know,
I mean, what I will say, law firms, you know, they don't have any sense of humor either, which really doesn't help in that situation when you're talking to them saying, hey, we've just backlinked your site with porn. I mean, sometimes you do it for, no, just to make an interesting client meeting, you know. No, but you're absolutely right. You know, it can be a very, very dangerous thing to do.
I think the thing as well, people try and make SEO sexy, while in fact it's the most boring thing in the world. If you're going out, you need to produce really helpful content, good content that's actually going to help people, that people are going to want to engage with and share. That's not as sexy as do this change to your website and it's good, so you're going to go to number one.
You're right, because there are a lot of sexy marketing tools now. Okay, you know, we now live in this modern world where video marketing is really, really hot. Content, you know, content marketing in general is kind of hot and sexy in terms of we can create really good content now in the form of Instagram stories and Instagram posts and Snapchat and TikTok now, which is now, you know, absolutely exploding because everyone's stuck in their houses just dancing to shit. But you know, that content marketing is really sexy, and SEO is really not fucking sexy. But at the end of the day, SEO is still and will be for a long time to come until something, you know, and it's not going to be another search engine, but something knocks Google off its pedestal. It will still be so powerful in terms of inbound marketing channel and route, and that's going to happen for a long time to come. And it takes, you know, the problem I think with SEO is a lot of the misconceptions come from, again, like I said, this advice. And what people are not doing is explaining the kind of backstory. You know, you need to have a certain level of understanding on what the hell Google is, how it operates, how it works. You know, if you were to do a family fortunes kind of a survey out on the street and you asked 100 people, how do Google rank all of the websites in the world? I will bet you the answers would be absolutely terrifying, because they'll probably say, well, there's some guy in the background sort of every time you type a search query and they're probably just quickly grabbing all the websites and shoving them onto a
webpage. A little nerd in the basement somewhere.
Yeah, exactly. And I bet that's the case, and having that understanding that actually, well, no, it's an algorithm and it works on these bases, and we don't know everything about it, but what we do know is they're providing what Google essentially want to do is provide the best value to their users regarding the search queries that they type in. You know, then things like backlinks from porn sites or backlinks from link farms and stuff like that will start to click in people's heads, and they'll go, well, if Google just want to provide the best value to their users, then maybe this isn't the way to go. Or maybe creating 20,000 different variations of pages for the 20,000 variations of this one keyword because I want to try and rank for every single variation isn't the way to go. And maybe creating one really stellar, awesome piece of content for this particular keyword or this particular phrase is actually the way to go, because that's going to provide more value to my users. And I think the mindset of just separating Google from user is really, really important as well, because I think some people just really want, I think there's some inbuilt kind of want and desire in us to confuse computers and to be able to get one up on a computer. So if people can say, well, you know, you can trick Google into ranking you number one if you do this little trick, or into doing this little tweak on your website, or hey, put this plugin on your WordPress site and it will help you. You know, we like that because we think that we're getting one up on the system and we're tricking Google a little bit. So maybe they like that a little bit.
Yeah, it's probably it's a very primal element, I suppose, just trying to basically win over the system, kind of, almost.
Hey, we all did it. We all tried to find Easter eggs in video games when we were kids and stuff like that. So I get it.
Yeah, sure.
But
and sorry.
Yeah, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, no, it's interesting that you say there as well about the difference between the users and Google. I mean, like that's one of those things people just need to keep in their head all the time, is that you're not writing for Google, you are writing for the user, because that is what Google is providing the user with. You know, that is what.
Yeah.
That in context.
Absolutely, and you know, I've there is a lot of people smarter than SEO than I am. However, one of those people is Rick Rodriguez, who is an absolutely stellar SEO. I don't call people experts traditionally, but he is an expert in the SEO field. He works at Yext, and he's amazing. And the one thing, you know, this one thing that's going around at the moment, and he describes it really, really well, is, you know, we need to start thinking of this as a search engine. You know, it's not search engine optimization anymore. It's an answers engine, and that's what we're providing. And users are the people that need answers. So if you're writing your content, if you're building your website out or creating a sitemap for your website, and you're thinking about how you can answer the key questions of your customers, of your users, and that's the way that you need to think about it, rather than thinking, well, I need to rank for this keyword, and I need to, because this has got all this volume behind it, and if I create this page, then I'm going to do that. And I suppose we need to stop thinking that. Don't even think of it of, I'm going to do this for Google 50%, and I'm going to do this for my users 50%. Let's start thinking about this, because I'm going to do this for my users 75% and this for Google 25%. So let's have that 25% of our brain thinking about Google, rather than the 50% of our brain thinking about Google when we're building our websites or when we're creating our content.
Yeah, that's a nice way of putting it, I think. Yeah, because I mean, at the end of the day, you do come along, and we see ourselves with clients, and again, they've seen all the information that's out there with regards to SEO, and they'll have a local area, and they'll want to create a page for every local area with the exact same duplicate content across everything, but just change the name of the area, so they'll try and rank for you. Like, no, that's not good.
It's terrible, isn't it? Because it's been around for so long, and we've seen so many sites that do it. And do you know what? Like you alluded to before, Mark, it did used to work in the past, and so I think another element of this is making customers and clients understand that things do change, and this whole process, this algorithm, this Ark of the Covenant does change a little bit and adapt a little bit, because users change and our behaviors change. So it's keeping them up to date with that. And I think sometimes if people learn something 10 years ago, it's learnt, it's like what they learnt at school. The curriculum hasn't really changed in 20 years. So why should the SEO curriculum change in 20 years either? And so I think a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs, they just think, well, I've learned this 20 years ago, therefore it still must be fact. It still must be true. And they're not updating their learning with the way that things move forward.
Yeah, for sure. And that actually makes me laugh a little bit, because when I finished my master's last year, and the SEO module, the lecturer at the start actually said, by the time you're finished this module, it's probably going to be like null and void, but let's get cracking anyway.
Yeah, it is. And it's crazy, because I do always think this, because I obviously have to employ people now. And I hire a lot of apprentices, and I hire a lot of sort of experienced people as well. And when I hire apprentices, I have to sort of depress them because I think when they're an apprentice, they just want to learn something and then be good at it, and then it's an easy life from there. But I have to sort of depress them by saying, you're going to be learning this for like ever, don't you? You're not going to stop doing this. I'm not going to stop making you go and watch this webinar or read this blog article or go to this conference or whatever. It's always going to be there. I'm really sorry about it, but I suppose it's just a mental attitude that I'm very fortunate that I get to employ people that just love to learn and take all that on board. But yeah, it doesn't stop. It'll never stop. And hey, it'd be fucking boring otherwise, wouldn't it?
It's part of the fun.
Yeah, it is part of the fun.
Yeah, and that's a top question now if you're hiring a digital marketing executive at some stage. Do you like to learn? Yeah,
exactly. Do you like to learn? Do you like to spend at least 2 hours of your day just going through the endless blog articles that come through? I have to sort of have obviously you onboard staff now, and part of my onboarding is sort of saying, now you need to set up a Feedly account, because that's where I have my source of knowledge. My Feedly account just pulls all of my, search engine journal stuff and all that kind of, all those blogs, Moz blogs, all go in there. Just have that, and just for 2 hours a day, just go through and read it and keep abreast of it. Because I'll tell you what, if you don't do it for a week, you're almost out of step, and I used to, it's another thing about the algorithm updates as well. We used to have major, massive algorithm updates, Penguin and Panda and Pigeon and all that kind of stuff. But that doesn't happen anymore, probably because they ran out of words beginning with P, but it doesn't happen anymore because they're so frequent and they're so constant. And let's be honest, algorithm updates aren't events anymore. They constantly happen. They happen every day. They're just sort of subsetted into this subset of, this type of query, or within this particular vertical. It's always constantly fluxing and changing, and we just have to keep abreast of that.
I think that's probably some good advice for people as well who are if they're not working with an agency or anything like that, but they're running their own website and they want to try and keep up to date and stuff, rather than, you know, finding the latest guru or whatever, go to those more trusted sources and set up a Feedly account and have your information flowing to you that way. I think that's a really nice way of actually getting good information in the industry.
Yeah, no, it is. And I did a blog article on my blog. Obviously, we all went into lockdown, and it is an opportunity for everybody to sort of learn something and learn a new skill. And so I decided, well, I'll do lockdown learning, but so I thought, well, I'll do lockdown learning where you can learn about SEO. And then I thought, well, shit, there's so much SEO shit out there, and that is SEO information out there, and not all of it is sort of qualified. So I thought, well, I'll go out and I'll source all of these, you know, individual resources. You know, Moz has made their resources free and their training free, which is generally quite good advice if it is only at a beginner level, and all that kind of stuff, and just pool it into one place. Because I think the difficulty with learning SEO at the moment is trying, you know, we all as sort of experienced people in this field now have almost got a bullshit filter built into our brains where we're going, well, that could be right, or that could be bullshit. And sometimes we have to go and check it and, you know, and implement it on a site maybe and see if it has any impact. But most of the time we kind of know when we go, no, that's not right. That's
fake SEO news.
Yeah, precisely. Fake SEO news. I have to really sometimes, because I do worry sometimes, because I try and sort of call people out as much as I can when I see this kind of stuff. And I have to worry that I'm going down this Trump route of just saying fake news to everything and saying no. So I'm not doing that anymore.
So Tom, if there's someone out there, will say that who they're not hiring an agency, they've got their own website, maybe they're a small business, and maybe down the line hopefully they could look at hiring an agency. But if they were to be starting off their own kind of SEO journey, let's say, what kind of advice would you give to them?
I think if you're not going to have an expert, you know, with you, first of all, what I will say is the SEO community as a whole is a very open community nowadays. Okay, it didn't used to be. We used to all have our little Ark of the Covenant chests where we'd say, hey, this is our little trick for making sure websites rank. And we used to put it in a sealed safe somewhere and never let it out. And we used to tell clients in that magical box is the secret formula. But we don't do that anymore. Actually, we're quite an open community now. So if you do know someone, or if you follow someone on Twitter and you just want the odd piece of occasional advice, then do reach out to them, because we're quite open, and, you know, we're all stuck inside in front of our laptops and we don't have that many friends. So, you know, reach out and just talk to us and chat to us, and I'm sure that we'll help you out in a small little way. However,
we are the nerds in the basement.
Yeah, we are the nerds in the basement, and we're okay with that. You know, one day we will rise up and revolt. But you know, if you don't have that, then do check out your competitors, because actually your competitors are the biggest sort of fountain of knowledge that you can have on how to rank. So if you have people in those sort of ideological key phrases that are ranking quite well, check out what are their websites doing. And it becomes less technical nowadays, because actually what we're talking about is what users want. So look at their website with the viewpoint of, okay, what are they doing for their users? What content are they providing for their users? What questions are they answering that their customers are probably asking for, and stuff like that. So, you know, if you just want a general broader idea of how to do these kind of things, then just look at what your competitors are actually doing, because that is usually, I mean, we do it as experts and professionals when we're bringing on a client. The first thing we do is competitor analysis. After we do sort of keyword research and all that kind of stuff, we do a competitor analysis. We want to see what the others in that vertical are doing. So there's no reason why you can't do that as well. The only thing you might not be able to do is that sort of technical SEO breakdown, which can take, you know, sometimes will take a trained eye. And I hate saying that, because being a punk guy myself, I kind of like the DIY attitude of doing everything yourself and having the ability to do that. But I hate saying it, but when it comes to the technical side of things, you kind of do need that hand holding, whether it's an agency, whether it's a freelancer. You need that expert to be able to guide you along the path, because one technical problem or issue that one canonical tag that's pointing in the wrong direction can really damage you and hurt you for a long time to come, with long-term implications as well. So you do have to be wary of that. But when it comes to content people are writing, content they've written on their static pages, all that kind of stuff, just check out what your competitors are doing and have a look. Don't steal their ideas, but perhaps borrow them and sort of innovate them. Yeah, that's a very nice. Yes, be inspired by them. Yeah, and be enlightened by them. Steal them.
Tom, that was fantastic, man. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure. It's been really fun as well. So thank you very much.
Brilliant. Hopefully the lockdown ends soon and we can maybe sit in front of our laptop somewhere else.
Yes, I look forward to it. Although I'm kind of like it. I like this idea that Jen brought forward of this basement community of digital marketers and SEOs. One day we're just going to take over the internet.
I'm scared of what I've started.
Yeah.
I will lead it.
Yes, you can lead it. Jen, I want you to be our leader. Let's lead the revolt.
Brilliant. Tom, thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. I really appreciate it. I hope you all stay safe. I hope you all stay well. And keep in touch.
Take care.
Bye now.